Hello again. I am Dwayne Black. I've been a NASA instructor for a few years now, since October 2018, and I've been instructing at VIR for ever since then. And I want to go over the last part of VIR. We're going to talk about the setup to roller coaster all the way through to coming out of hog pen and down the front straightaway. Please enjoy this video. Please give a like to the series. Thank you for watching. Here's part 4. All right, here we are roaring down the back straightaway at VIR. Do be sure to check the corner worker. This is pretty much a mandatory man station. So watch this as you crest the hill. And I've never ridden in a car, especially from a Miata, but all the way up to like a Z06 Corvette that needed to lift going over this hill, even on the worst of street tires. Now, as soon as it crests the hill and starts down, there's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, it may need to brake there going down this hill, but brake cresting the hill or lift cresting the hill, I've never personally been in a car that I thought needed that. All right. Now, as we crest this hill, remember it's another story. Depending on your tires, your car's weight, your car's horsepower will have a strong determination of where you brake here. The biggest thing you want to focus on is turning this into one brake zone. I see people even on intermediate levels, they brake a lot, and then like right as they crest the hill, they ease off the brake and they let the car coast for a moment, and then they brake again. Or even they accelerate into roller coaster, which is also not as fast as you could be. So experiment with braking, figure out where you think you're comfortable with your car, work with your instructor yourself, whatever. Find a brake zone and then work on compressing it later. And you'd probably be surprised how well you can brake going around this left bend. It's a hill. It's going to help slow you down as you go up that hill. And it's just going to be a very gentle turn. I would say you're going to turn between 2 and 1 so that your car stays on that rubber patch and follow the dark marks. All right. Now, as you crest the hill, you should have seen this in a previous video. He's right about there. Make sure you keep an eye on that corner worker. He's pretty easy to check. And a very, very important one, especially considering you're going over a blind hill. And notice that, look where that red dot is, all the way up to the front. This is heavy braking as I go around the corner. There's not many corners I can think of where you brake all the way through the corner, but this is one. Now, as you come over the hill, there's actually still some room to brake. And I think a lot of people, if they would just take a moment and realize how long this little section is, they would realize how much they can brake going into this section. So there's still room to brake. Now, I like to keep the car on the left side. Some people may want to move more to the middle and brake a little harder. But it seems like to me, I would say if you're able to keep the car right on that verge line, you're probably not braking hard enough. I like to be braking hard enough that I'm trying to keep the car over there, and the car moves a foot or so off going straight. One way you can tell you're braking maybe a little bit too hard is when the car won't make that little bit of a turn and it wants to go straight for the curb, which is probably going to pinch off your turn. I do know some guys who claim it's faster that way, though. So as you go looking for that curb, there it is. What you want to do is hold this curb for a few moments as you go around. Some people may say as long as you can. Some people may say let go of the curb a length or so before the end of it. But anyway, you do want to be at or on this curb. Let your car and your skill determine how. And another thing to experiment with, and this could go for a lot of curbs, is if your car gets unsettled over it, try slowing down just a little bit more. Go about 9/10 and then cut in and drive all over top of the curb and see if the distance saved is worth that little bit less hairy on the edge driving. All right, now I'm using third gear because we're about to drop off another cliff. So, and it's also a little tricky depending on your car to get power down here. So we're going to hold this curb as long as we can, but we also don't want to let the car shoot over. There is no reason you should be on the curbs until you're making that left-hand turn. These curbs are there because so many people would overshoot this corner and end up going off the track and tearing up the grass there. So remember, we hold right. We're going to keep holding right around the curbs. And then there's a moment in there that I didn't screenshot that as the car gets a good set and you can see a good pattern to get to these curbs, turn and go for them. And you also need to make sure you're checking this corner worker who's watching down the hill for you. You can also see the roof of the next corner worker down here. The heavy cars are going to wash out. Light cars will not necessarily. So get up on the curb. 2 tires on it is fine. And I would say what you want to do in something like a Mustang is aim the car at about the middle of the track and then be on the gas so early that the car actually says, no, I'm going to go out here to the edge of the track instead. Experiment with that. That'll help you get the power down a lot earlier. It's one of the ways I use to help people get power down, just because a lot of people are timid going down the roller coaster. All right. Now, as you can see here, I aimed at the middle of the track, but I got on the gas. The car washed out, which actually put it right where I wanted it. And you don't want to be on that curb on the right. Get over there to it. Perfect. Check in your corner worker again. And this curb, there's no reason to be on it, but it is an index marker. It is going to tell you you turn into this next left-hander as you go by it, and depending on your car as to where and how hard you brake. This is another corner where you will brake all the way through the corner. It will not be a full hard-on brake like that last brake zone going in the roller coaster, but it's going to be a brake zone. Now, car placement here is perfect. And what we want to do is aim to get on the left side of the track and hold it there momentarily as we go down the hill. It is crucial that you get to the curb. It's also, as you get into more intermediate and advanced skills, to experiment with letting your car wander up on top of that curb. All right, and you're still dragging the brake. Now, you may notice on our friction circle, the dot is a little bit forward. I'm not braking very hard, but I have my brake pedal down. All right. Now, I'm still, at this point, I'm starting to release the brake. It's starting to come back around. And I'm going to start experimenting somewhere up ahead with gently putting the gas into the car. It's also important to note here that there is a compression zone. We're at the lowest point on the track. There is a bottom here, and we're going to start back uphill. That little compression is going to catch the car. Now, what I would say here, this is I took this screenshot right about where I could see the nose of my car lean the other way. This is about where I'm going to turn in. I'm going to aim for that inside curb, but I don't want to hit the curb. That curb is going to upset the balance on the car, and that's not something I want to do setting up a very long straightaway. I want to keep the car nice and balanced. Now, as I come into this compression, again, we can see the compression a little bit better here. We're going to check the corner worker, and he's going to be one of 3 markers I'm going to use to help you get to the front stretch. So you should be going back to throttle, and I'm usually back to throttle before the compression. It's like I'm on the throttle and the car would shoot off the track, except the compression catches it. And in my car, in my tires, I'll actually hear the tires make a little scritch sound as it comes into that compression and catches. And at the point where that car catches, that is my wide open throttle point. Please don't take that as a challenge if you're driving a Ferrari on street tires, please. But that's just me and where I'm at, okay? But that compression will catch the car, and it'll kind of punch you in the gut a little bit, actually. Not hard, but that little scritch and a punch in the gut, and that says, oh yeah, I'm going fast. Now, at this point, what you want to be doing is you want to be checking the corner worker. We got a lot of right-hand wheel in the car. Notice where the traction circle is, and notice that the traction circle is back. We are accelerating. A lot of guys don't accelerate through here nearly as early as they could be. This is also a very difficult corner to get right. So you're going to want to look for corner worker. And I just want to make sure I address this little point. If you're not mid-track, you're going to be pinched off going through here, and that's going to make you have to lift around this corner. If you're not able to get power down all the way going around this corner, then you may want to experiment with going back a slide or two and letting the car wash out a little bit wider as it goes into that compression zone to make sure you have a wide open throttle, nice wide arc going through hog pen and launching it onto the front stretch. All right. Now, if I was sitting in your passenger seat, I would say, make sure you call out corner worker, curb, straightaway. You want to look for them in that order. Those are your dots. Those are your references to tell you how to get to the front stretch. I got on the curb, but I don't get on it every lap. This curb, my car takes it. Your car may not. If you don't make it to the curb, that's okay. If you were wide open throttle and the car was, okay, I'm going to go out to the middle of the track. Good. That's fine as long as you don't run off the track. That's actually a good thing. Maybe you're doing better than me because you couldn't get to the inside because you were on the gas earlier than me. That's good. That's fine. Now, your eyes on the straightaway will also help you have a reference for where to go and remind you to keep the wheel in the car. Notice, still a lot of G-forces in the car. It's also, we're still wide open throttle and accelerating. We're going to let the car wash out. Still eyes up to the top of the hill. Let the car wash out. Very important to note, if it washes out too much, there's a lot of grass to catch it in. Please don't panic and pull the car over here. And I would say down the straightaway, save a little distance. A lot of organizations, you'll see, they'll tell guys to stay out here and make a big arc out of 18 or stay out here so people can pass you on the right. I say unless there's somebody around you, don't worry about it. Drive down the middle of the track, left side tires on the patch down the straightaway. All right. Hopefully that helped you guys get around VIR. leave a like and subscribe for more content possibly in the future if you guys like this.